So what do we mean by permutation and combinations? That's the first point. So when we talk of combination, so we say combination is basically selection. Okay, so where order is not important, order of selection is not important. Okay, order of selection or arrangements is not important. Okay, so for example, if I say that you have 5 friends and you want to take 3 of them to a party or to a movie or whatever, so the order in which you select your friends is not important. However, if I say that you are like selected your 3 friends for the party, for the movie, and then you have gone to the movie, so there are 4 seats. So in how many ways can you sit down? Okay, arrange yourself. So that's basically an arrangement question. So their order is important. Okay, so combinations refers to the selection part and permutation refers to the arrangement part. So arrangement after selection. So if I don't know what to select, then what will you arrange? So it's either arrangement after selection, or in other words, you can just say ordered selection. Okay. So now take an example. So when I say A, B, C, D, and let's say E. So this is what you have. And now I tell you that you have to make 3 of them stand in a line. Okay, you make 3 of them stand in a line. So one way of looking at this is that there are 3 empty spaces where they would be standing, and you have to fill up those empty spaces by putting those people, the 3 people whom you want, in those places. So there is an important concept here of and versus or. So to explain this, so let's take a simpler case. So we're talking about, let's say, 3 cities A, B, and C, which are connected by a number of roads. So let us say this is A and B connected, and this is B and C are connected, and let us say that's A and C also connected. So if I ask you, let's say these are A, B, and C in order. Let's say this is A, B, and C. So if I ask you how many paths or routes are there from A to C, okay, routes from A to C. So you will say that, okay, so how can I reach C from A? You can say that, okay, I'll go via B. So I'll say A to B and B to C. So either I go this or I go directly from A to C. So because there are possible routes. So when I'm saying A to B, so I'm counting A to B is 3 ways, and means multiplication, B to C is 2 ways, and that's I say that this is 6 ways. What's the logic? That if I choose this one, I can choose either of them. When I choose this one, then also I can choose either of these two. And when I choose the third one here, then also I can choose either of them. So every time I choose anything between A and B, my number of routes from B to C remains 2. It's constant. And therefore I can just simply do 3 times 2 as 6. Or when I say this A to C, you know that there are only 2 routes. So or means either I go along that path or along this path. So basically total routes would become 6 plus 2, 8. Okay. So this is how we count the number of paths. So basically what I'm trying to say is and means a multiplication, or means an addition. Okay. And means multiplication, or means addition. So this is how we can apply this concept here. So we say that, okay, so first place can be filled in any of the 5 ways because there are 5 people. Then once that place is filled up, you can fill up the next place in 4 ways and the next one in 3 ways, because you can't put the same person twice. Okay. Now how are they linked? So you are going to put one person, like a person in the first place and a person in the second place and a person in the third place. So total number of paths will be 5 times 4 times 3. Now this we can write it as 5 factorial over 2 factorial. It's the same thing, right? 5 factorial means 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 divided by 2 factorial. So 2 and 1 cancels out. So I'm just writing it in this way. Okay, I'll show you something. Now, alternative way of doing the same exercise, make 3 of them stand in a line, could be select 3 of them, select 3 from the 5 and make them stand. So when I say select 3 from the 5, let's denote it as 5C3. That's a notation for combination. And means you multiply as before. And then when you make them stand, so now there are only 3 people and there are 3 places. So it can just be simply 3 times 2 times 1. So my answer here now becomes 5C3 times 3 factorial. Equate these two, so we get the answer that 5 factorial over 2 factorial is 5C3 times 3 factorial. We end up getting 5C3 as 5 factorial by 2 factorial 3 factorial. So this is how the combination formula comes. Okay, NCR. So NCR is n factorial divided by n minus r factorial r factorial. So this is okay. Any doubts with this? This is
Yes.
what you see combination. You can use this provided. So NCR can be used only if n represents distinct objects. N represents distinct objects. So if there is any identical object involved, then you cannot use NCR. Okay. So example. So let us say I tell you that A, B, C, D, E, and I want to select any 3. Simple. Select 3 of them. 5C3. So that will come out to 10. Now A, B, B, C, and I again say select 3. So select 3 means I can select A also. Okay, so that's possible. So if I actually list down the total ways, see if you list it down, AAB, AAC, BBA, BBC, ABC, and that's it. You don't get anything else. So there are only 5 ways. So there is no formula for this. Okay, so how do you calculate when you have multiple identical objects and you have to still select something? So what the method I follow is group them and then make cases. So this is what you have. Now let's make the cases of selection of 3. So case 1, no repeat, no repetition. So there are 3 letters A, B, C. You have to select 3 of them. 3, C, 3. So that's one way. Done. Case 2, there is repetition obviously. So 1 letter repeats. So obviously 2 letters can't repeat because you have to just select 3. So who repeats? So it might be that the double A group repeats or the double B group repeats. Please note I am talking of the group of AA and the group of BB. Okay. So there are 2 such groups of which I select 1. Okay. What did I do? There are 2 such groups, double A, double B. I select 1. When I select one group, I already select 2 letters. So now I just have to select the third letter. From whom? So let us say I selected double A. So now I have a B and a C, two more letters from which I have to select my third letter. So 2C1. So 2C1 times 2C1. So that's 2 times 2. So that's 4. So total is 1 plus 4, 5. Okay. So obviously, like if you have a slightly longer chain of letters, then you cannot manually keep counting, right? So we have to do something like this. So was the logic clear? So what I did was no repetition, case 1, and case 2 is 1 letter repeats. 1 letter repeats, I said that okay, I can have the double A to repeat. So either of this group or this group. So one of the 2 groups, so that's 2C1. Now let us say I select the double A. So now I can still select a B, right, for the third letter. So basically there are two more letters from which I can select the third letter. So 2C1 again. So I have got 2 times 2, that's 4. So this case is number 1, or the second case 4. So 1 plus 4 is 5. So depending on the complexity, you can accordingly make multiple cases. So maybe if you have a slightly longer chain, you might have a third case where 2 letters repeat. Okay, but not more than that. I mean, given GMAT, they would not make you do a very lengthy like 4 or 5 cases coming up. So that won't happen. So 1 case, 2 case, at the worst scenario, like 3 cases might just come in. So this is how you do it. So what my point is, you cannot do 5C3 because that's completely wrong. And do not even think of doing 5C3 divided by 2 factorial just because 2 of the letters are identical. That's for arrangement, not for combination. Okay. So the only way of doing selection where you have repetition is by making cases like this. No other alternative. Okay. I mean, no other plausible alternative. There is one very complicated formula, but let's not get into all that. So this is basic combination. Okay. Now basics of permutation. But before I go on to basics of permutation, some calculation techniques. Okay. So NC0 is the same as NCN. Okay. And both are 1. NCN minus 1 is the same as NC1, which is N. Okay, these are constants. Okay, remember this. Both of them, they are very useful. The other thing is, which is very useful, is NCR is the same as NCN minus R. For example, now why is this useful? Okay, so let's come to how to calculate an NCR. So if I give you, let's say, something like a 7C3, how do you calculate 7C3? So ideally the formula, n factorial, n minus r factorial, all that stuff. So that's very lengthy. Shortcut is, so you focus on this 3. So starting with 7, write down 3 numbers, 7, 6, 5. Write down 3 numbers in decreasing order starting with 7. Divide the entire thing by 3 factorial. Why the 3 factorial? By 7C3, so that factorial. The 6 cancels out with the 3 factorial, so you have 35. It's a very easy calculation. If I have a 11C4, for example, I would be doing 11 times 10 times 9 times 8 and divided by 24. So 24, you know that 9 8 is 72 will cancel with 3. So your answer is 330. Becomes very fast. Now, where is this used? So if I were to ask you what is 11C7, and if I try to use this method, I have to write down 7 numbers, right? 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, like that, and divide by 7 factorial. So don't do that. Use that above rule and convert it to 11C4. Now use that method, the shortcut I method I said, and write 330. So this is majorly a calculation trick. Okay, this one. For the GMAT, you would use this only if you want to like do a quick calculation. That helps. All right. Another point here, which we will use later on, NC0 plus NC1 plus NC2 plus dot dot. If you calculate till NCN, that comes out to 2 to the power n. Okay. So you can try it out. For example, if I say that it's a small number, okay, 3C0 plus 3C1, 3C3. So the values would be 3C0, 3C1, 3C2, 3C3, and you will get 8. So that's 2 cube. Okay, so this is useful at times. So these are the calculation shortcuts, sort of, you can say, for combination. Now let's move on to permutation. So if you have any doubts and all, please ask. No, there's no problem with that. So permutation means arrangement, as I said. So permutation, there is a formula NPR which we will not use. Okay, it's useless because like this formula actually does not help you to do anything, because this is a very straightforward formula which says that if there are n objects in a line and you want to arrange all of them randomly, then how many orders or arrangements can you make? So just this. But none of the questions that you get in actual test would be anything like simple as this. So there will be a lot of conditions. Whenever there are conditions, this method does not work. So we will go back to our way of filling up the blanks method. So this is the best way of doing arrangements, using the concept of and or, and then calculating. So for example, if I say that the letters A, B, C, D, E have to be arranged so that they start the words start with a vowel. So then what will happen? What will we do? So there are 5 letters. Let us say we want to make a 5-lettered word only. So it starts with a vowel. So this place can be filled in using A or E. And after that, the remaining places to be filled. The idea is first focus on what is the main condition. Satisfy the condition first and then fill up the rest. Okay. Very straightforward rule. First figure out where is the main condition, satisfy the condition, then fill up the rest. Because if I had said no, I'll start filling in from the last position and say that okay, there are 5 options, then 4, then 3, then 2, then there is no guarantee that the starting word letter would be a vowel. So it doesn't really matter if it says start with or end with. So even if it says end with, you will first fill up the last position with A or E and then do the others. Okay. So how many ways? So A or E. So 2C1 is a selection. We have filled up the first place. The remaining 4 places, just 4 factorial. Or we can say that okay, one of them is gone. So this place can be filled in 2 ways, not 5 ways. Okay. 2 ways and then 1 letter less. So 4 letters now. So 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. So 4 factorial. You can directly write that. So this is how we solve these sort of questions. So that will be 48 ways. Obviously, this cannot be solved using the formula of permutation because there is a condition involved. Now, therefore, we can say that n distinct objects in a line, number of arrangements is n factorial. Okay, in a straight line is n factorial. What happens if there are identical objects? Just like in the case of combination, you can have identical objects here as well. So if you have identical objects, so for example, if I have this and I want to arrange all of them. So how many ways can we arrange this? We straight away do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 factorial and divide it by whatever repeats, 2 factorial, 3 factorial, right? Okay. Achha, you are asking why 4 factorial and not 4C4? Like this is the question, right? Here you are asking. So that is, we are arranging, right? 4C4 means what? You are selecting 4 letters from the 4 letters given. So that is obvious that you will have to use all 4 letters, right? The question is about arranging the remaining 4 letters in those 4 gaps. So you will say first place in 4 ways, then 3 ways, then 2 ways, and then 1 way, right? 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. It's 4 factorial. Okay, combination is, yeah, okay. All right, now let's come back to this. So this is what we do normally. Now the point is, why do we do it like this? Okay. So the logic is, let's say I have the letters A, B, C, D. I know that the arrangements are going to be 4 factorial. So that's 24. Now what happens if I have A, C, D? Okay. We say 4 factorial by 2 factorial. So that's 12. Now let's explain the logic behind this. When we had all of these distinct, forget the A's and the B's, let us fix up C and D. So let us first put C and D somewhere, okay? We have placed C and D. Now keeping C and D unchanged, okay? Understand what I'm saying? Keeping C and D unchanged, if I have, let's say, A here and a B here, versus the A here and the B here, these are not going to be the same arrangement, right? They're completely different arrangements, isn't it? because the positions of two of the letters are different. So keeping C and D unchanged, notice how I'm putting it, keeping C and D unchanged, if I interchange A and B, I will generate new arrangements. So I will allow A and B to switch positions. Okay. And in how many ways can they switch positions? 2 factorial ways, because those are two letters. Keeping C and D fixed, okay, that's very important. So keeping C and D fixed, A and B can switch in 2 factorial ways, okay. Now, keeping everything the same, if I just, let's say, replace the B with A and then I switch, what happens? It's the same thing, right? So now what will happen is, keeping C and D fixed, I cannot, so keeping C and D fixed, I cannot switch A and A, which could have been earlier done in 2 factorial ways when you had A and B. Am I right? So when you had A and B, you could have done this in 2 factorial ways. Now that A has, like, B has also become A, I cannot do that anymore. So therefore, number of ways becomes 1 by 2 factorial times of what it was. Okay, it becomes 1 over 2 factorial times. Why? Because every 2 factorial cases you are counting as one case. Okay. In other words, here every 2 cases you are counting as one case. So if the same thing happened with 3 letters like A or B, for example, so keeping others same, the B and B, which were initially not the same, which were initially different, could have been arranged in 3 factorial ways, and now you cannot do that. So you will divide by the 3 factorial, because when you did 6 factorial, when you did that 6 factorial, that 3 factorial was already inbuilt in that, right? You are interchanging everything, right? The B's are also switching places. That you cannot do, so you divide by factorial. So that's the basic idea. So the logic is, since you cannot switch C and D, or since you cannot switch these letters, switching does not result in anything different. You are dividing by the factorial. Now, what was the reason for doing such a detailed explanation for this? Because if I were to now ask you this, say A, B, C, D, E, F, arrange so that A is to the left of B. So A is to the left of B and B is to the left of C. If this is a question, A has to be the left of B, B has to be the left of C. That means keeping others same, A, B, C, let's say D, E, F same. Ideally, initially I could have, let's say I had put A here, B here, and C here. Now keeping DEF fixed, I could have played around with the A's and the B's and the C's, right? So I could have said that, okay, this A is not A, but this is B. And this B is not B, but this is A. I could have switched. But now that A, B, C order has been specified, right? A has to be to the left B of B, B has to be to the left of C. I cannot play around with the letters anymore. So I am losing out 3 factorial arrangements every time. So the same thing exactly happens, 6 factorial arrangements, but there is a constraint on ABC, so divide by 3 factorial. So the previous question and this question is exactly the same. The only difference is the wordings. Previous one, you cannot interchange because the letters were identical. This one you cannot interchange because the condition has been specified. So these sort of questions, this is how you do it. So if I had specified, let's say, another question, so arrange so that A is to the left of B and C is to the left of D. So it would be 6 factorial over 2 factorial, 2 factorial. Why? Because there is a condition on A and B switching. Separately, there is a condition on C and D switching. So it's exactly the same as if I had asked for arrange the letters A, B, B, C, D, E, F. Same question. So I hope this is clear now. So arrangements in a line, okay, with distinct cases and different cases. where repetition is allowed. I mean, like repetition, like identical objects are there, and sometimes where the condition has been specified that no, you cannot switch around. So a typical example of this is for example, let's say or let's put it like this: three families consisting of the father and son stand in a line so that the father of every family stands behind his son. So how many arrangements are possible? So there are three families, family A, B, and C, and each family has two members, father and son. They have to be made to stand in a line. The condition is the father of every family should stand behind his son, not immediately behind. It does not say immediately behind his son. It says just has to stand behind his son. So for example, you can always have father of A, father of B, and father of C families, and son of A and son of B and son of C. They are standing in this order. It's perfectly fine because father of A is standing behind A, son of A, and so on. So how many arrangements are there? So 6 letters, 6 things, 6 factorial. There is a condition between father and son of the first family, of the second family, of the third family. You're done. Okay. You cannot switch around father and son in each of the 3 cases. So you just divide by 2 factorial 3 times. Was this idea clear? Is there any doubt? Okay, good. All right. Next. Now some specific questions on these arrangements and combinations and stuff. So like some questions are required. So just to make the idea clear. So if I say that, let's say A, E, I and B, C, D, and these are 6 letters. Obvious of these 3 are vowels and 3 are consonants. Okay. So you have to arrange so that, let us say, all vowels are together. I mean, are grouped together, as in number 2, all vowels are not together. Number 3, let us say no 2 vowels are together. Okay. And let's say number 4, vowels are appear before the consonants. So that means all the vowels appear before all the consonants. That means, I mean, it should not ever happen that a vowel appears after a consonant has appeared. Okay. So if I, let's say, ask you these 4 questions, so I'll give you like 10 minutes. You just think how to approach, get the answer, and then we'll discuss these 4 questions. Okay. And then we'll do some questions on combination also. All right. So you take 5 minutes, think how to solve these. All right. So how we do this is all the vowels are together. So just imagine that they are tied with a rope, piece of rope sort of. That's an analogy. So B, C, and D. So yeah, basically this is 1 unit, 2, 3, and 4 units to be arranged, 4 factorial. And within that group of 1 unit, these 3 can arrange in 3 factorial ways. So you just multiply. So 4 factorial times 3 factorial. That's your answer for the first one. For the second one, obvious, total is 6 factorial. Subtract the previous answer. So this is a specific case where questions can be solved easily if you do the negation approach. So when they're saying not together, rather than finding individual cases where actually they are not together and then adding them up, which is going to be very complicated, okay, because there are lots of permutation combinations that will come up. So what you do is find out the cases where they are together, which is much easier to calculate, and then subtract. Now the third one is not the same as the second one. So its second one says all of them are not together, means all three should not come together. The third one says no two of them also can come together. So even two of them try coming together, that's not allowed. In the second one, you can have A and E together, but I separated from them. So that is allowed. Like A, E, B, I, C, D is an allowed arrangement in the second case, but not allowed in the third case. So that's the main difference. Now, if I try to do again a subtraction, so total cases minus all three together, minus when two of them are together. Now see, what is the problem with this is when you do two of the vowels together, and that's the only condition you put, right? Two vowels are together. When you are arranging all of them, like the case where two vowels are together, so how will you do that? Like you will put A and E, let us say, as a single unit, and then I, B, C, and D. So they will all move around, right? You will interchange their positions, arrange them. There will be a case where you have I, A, E in one shot, right? Like in one line at a stretch. So that means two vowels together, if you try to find out cases, will include cases where three of them are together also. And you will have to like subtract all such cases where there is a common thing. Like basically, we are going to do what? Total minus two vowels together, minus three vowels together. But two vowels together and three vowels together will have common arrangements. So those will again have to be removed again, because you are removing it once with two vowels together, and you're also removing when you are doing three vowels together. So you have double removing it, right? So you have to add it back once. So it makes the thing really very complicated. So what we do instead is, we don't do a subtraction. What we do is, no two vowels are together, so let's fix up the consonants. So we have the B, C, Ds. So B, C's, and the D. And now, as a result, you have four spaces where you can put the vowels. So you can put the vowel at the leftmost end to the rightmost end, or in between B and C, or in between C and D. Now what will happen is, if you do that, the vowels are never going to come together like consecutive positions. Now once that is decided, so now it is just you have to execute it. So what will you do? The consonants in those three places, 3 factorial ways they will arrange. Like I'm saying, like B, C, D, C, D, B, D, C, B, and so on, keeping the position same. Position same means this position, and this position are not changing. And we are just interchanging the letters. Then out of the 4 gaps, you need only 3 gaps for the 3 vowels. So you do 4C3. And once you have got those 3 positions where you want to put the vowels, arrange the vowels again, 3 factorial. So this will come out to be 6 times 6 times 4. So that's 144 cases. So this is a safe way of doing these sort of questions, okay? Where the condition is on the vowels, you first place the consonants and then put the vowels in between the consonants, ensuring they are not together. Okay. The last one is easy. So you want the 3 vowels to appear before the 3 consonants, A, E, I, and B, C, D. And they will not switch. So AEI 3 factorial and BCD 3 factorial. So that's all, 36 ways. So this is how you arrange the letters. Next. Some selection question. Okay, so let us say that you have a group of 4 men and 5 women, and you want to form a team of 4 people. Okay, given a condition that if a particular person X is selected, another particular person Y cannot also be selected in the team. So keeping this condition in mind, how many such teams are possible? Okay, so again, I take 2 minutes. So what you do is, so you have basically what, like total cases. So just 9C4. From that subtract, what do you subtract? Cases where X and Y are both in the team. Because that's the only case which you cannot accept, where both X and Y have been selected. If you have only X in the team and Y is not there, it's fine. Y is there, X is not there, it's fine. Neither of them is there, that's also fine. Both of them is there, there's a problem. So in how many ways can you select a team where both X and Y have been selected? So if X and Y are already in the team, so you have already selected 2 people and there are 7 more left. So you need to select 2 from the remaining 7C2 cases. So 9C4 minus 7C2. That's one way of doing it. That's total subtraction method. The other way of doing this is by addition. Okay, so I say X in, Y out, or Y in, X out, or both X and Y out. There are 3 possible scenarios you can have. Now, when I'm saying X is already in the team, so I already have 1 person. I need to select 3 more from the remaining 8. So it would be 8C3. Okay. So that's the total number of cases where X is in, but Y is not. But I cannot do 8C3. Sorry, because I have to also eliminate Y, right? So it will be 7C3. So X is already in. So there are 8 people left, from which Y has to be eliminated. So there are 7 people left. I need to select 3 more. So 7C3, or means plus, again same 7C3, same case, again or means plus, both are out. So there are basically 7 people only, because X and Y both have been eliminated, and you have to select all 4. So 7C4. So this, if you add, you will also get the same answer. So let's quickly calculate 9C4. Let's use the method which we discussed. So 9876 divided by 24. So 9 8s are 72. So 72 and 24 would be 3. So 7 into 6 is 42 into 3, 126. So that's 126 minus 7C2, 7 into 6 by 2. So 21. So 105. And 7C3. So if I calculate 7C3, 765 by 6, 3 factorial. So that's 35. That's 35. And 7C4 is also the same as 7C3, and that's also 35. So that's also 105. So same answer. Okay. So whichever way you do is fine. I mean, there's hardly much of a difference. There's only just one extra calculation in the second method, so it's okay. All right, next. Some other typical questions on permutation combination which you might get. So this is a very common grid based question. So the question goes like this. So this is, let's say, roads. Okay, these lines represent roads, and each corner or each intersection represents a particular city, or I mean a particular location. Okay. Now so just assume they're all uniform, though hardly matters, I mean. Okay, so they're all uniform and all. And your task is to travel from this point A. This is not really permutation combination, but it's somewhat related to that topic. That's why I am explaining it here. So you have to, let's say, travel from A to B, and you have to figure out the shortest route. What is the shortest route from A to B? Okay. Now, obviously if you have to go along the shortest route, you would try to not retrace back. I mean, you would prefer going always in this direction or in this direction. You would not like to go back up, because then you are basically not taking the shortest route anymore. So how to count out the number of routes? There can be a lot of different scenarios. Like they might say that, okay, you find out the number of routes, but let's say this part is prohibited. You cannot enter this region. Okay, some additional conditions are given. So you cannot enter, but you can walk along the borders. Okay, so that's given. So how many routes are there from A to B? And any such scenario can come up. So in GMAT, you have been like, there have been questions where this sort of a diagram was just asked. I am just putting in an additional constraint. So let's say how to figure out this one. Okay, so I'll just tell you the method. Okay, so we can always do this using permutation combination, but that's going to be really very complicated. So what I do is I use a concept of counting. Okay, how do I count is, so starting from A, I find out the positional value of each node. The value of each node means, like for example, if I want to find the value of this node, so I see that, okay, I can actually reach this node either coming like this or coming like this. These are the two ways. Not like this, because now I'm going reverse direction. Okay, I already said that you can only walk in these two directions to make the minimum route. So to find out the value of this node, what you do is add up the value of this node from where you can reach, or from this node where you can reach. And in this way, progressively you find out the value of all the nodes. So let's carry that out, carry out that exercise. So this is one way. You can reach this position in only one way. There is no other route, and so is this also in one way. And so will be this. All of these are one ways. Because you have to go straight. I mean, you cannot go anywhere else. Okay. Now look at this point. This point is from here or here. So add up two ways. Similarly, this one would be 1 plus 2. So that's three ways. You can reach this point in three ways. Verify. One way, two ways, second way, and the third way. So we are basically counting it like this. Okay. Now keep on doing it. So this is going to be 2 plus 1, 3. That's 6. This is 4. That's 5. That's 6. And 7. Now, what is this? 6 plus 3. So this is 9. 6 plus 4. So that's 10. My bad. This is 10. Now, what about this point? There is no other line other than this one, right? So this remains 10. This corner point also remains 10. Now, what about this? You can only come from here, right? There is no other route. So this is also 10. So this becomes 20. This is not 10, by the way. So this is 6. This is also 6. Okay. This part is 6 plus 7. That's 13. This is 6 plus 10. So this is 16. 16 plus 20. So that's your 36. Okay. 13 plus 16. So that's 29. 29 plus 36. So that's 65. Then this was 13. So what will be this? Will also be 13, because there is no other path other than thus vertically down. This will also be 13. There is again nothing else. Okay, this was 29, right? So this one will be 13 plus 29. So that's 42. Okay. 42 plus 13. So that's 55. And we are almost to the end. So this one would be 42 plus 65. So that's 107. Finally, 107 plus 55. So 162. So there are 162 routes that you can take to reach from A to B. Now, this is an exaggerated view. Like, I mean, given you a lot of points, you won't get so many. The equation that was there in GMAT was very simple. Like, it was a 3 cross 4 or something like that grid. So it's pretty simple to calculate. Okay. You can just go around doing this and calculate the answer. Variation of this, like when I give you a much simpler question, so I just say let's just say that I'll show you where the permutation combination part comes in here. So let's say that this is a very simple part, okay, like this, and you have to travel from, let's say, this point A to this point B. So the way of doing this, I can say, is you have to take 3 horizontal paths, right? Horizontal 3 steps, so H H H, and 2 vertical steps, V V. Like it's a 3 by 2, right? I mean, so 3 points horizontal, 2 points vertical. So H H H V V, in whichever way you arrange this, you will always reach the starting point from A to B only. So how many paths are there? So there are 5 letters, 5 factorial divided by 2 factorial, 3 factorial. So that would be 10 ways in which you can reach from A to B. Let's verify. So from A I am counting shortest routes, 1 1 1, 1 and 1. So that's 2, 3, 3, 4, 6, 3 plus 3, and that's your 10. So it does match with the calculation. When you have more complicated shapes, you can still use permutation combination, only that the process becomes much more elaborate and complicated. So it's better to count out like this than use PNC. So was this fine? Finding out the roots and all. So it could be of any shape, okay? It does not necessarily have to be a rectangular grid only. Let's start off with that question that we had here. You could have done this also, right? You have to go from A to C. How many paths are there? You can do it using that method also, okay? So that's the approach. Okay, next. So if I give you another question, so you have a, let's say, a grid. Okay, just assume it's a uniform size, okay? So you have a 5 cross 5 grid like this. So the question is, how many, say, rectangles are there in this? And let us say another one. How many ways, in how many ways can you color this using, let us say, 6 colors? There are 6 colors. Condition is each row must have 2 colors but not the same color in adjacent squares, and that's another condition. So that's one condition, and the second condition, consecutive rows cannot have any colors common. Okay, so can you answer these two? Yeah, you can take 5 minutes. Okay, so first one, so how many rectangles? So the idea is that to create a rectangle, if I just have 2 horizontal lines and 2 vertical lines anywhere like this, then I will be able to create a rectangle here. So if I look at this, so there are vertically, there are 6 lines. I can select any 2 of them, so 6C2, and horizontally there are also 6 lines. I select any 2 of them, another 6C2. So that's 15 times 15, so that's 225 rectangles, including squares, so that we can get. For example, if I select that line and this one vertically, and horizontally, let's say I select this one with this, then the rectangle that I have got is this. Okay. Similarly, all the other rectangles in this can be generated. So that's the answer to the first one. Now for the second one, so there are 6 colors and you have to color each row using those like two colors only. So first let's start from the bottom row. Okay, we have to start somewhere. So bottom row, there are 2 colors to be used, 62. Now once I have chosen the 2 colors, let's say red and black, so I can color red, black, red, black, red like this. I mean, sorry, red, black, red, black, and red. Or I can do the reverse as black, red, black, red, black. So there are 2 ways in which I can do it. So 62 times 2, that's the number of ways in which you can color the first row. Now for the next row, just above it, since we have already used up 2 colors, red and black, I cannot use those 2 colors again for the above row because there should not be any color common. So that means I have only 4 options left for the above row. So I have to choose 2 of the 4 colors, and again I can color in 2 ways. So now let us say I chose red and black here, and I chose, let us say, green and yellow here. Now the point is, the red and black which I had chosen for the first row can be used again for the third row. Okay, because that's not an adjacent row, right? So I can use that, the colors of this row over here, there is no problem. So that means for the third row I'll again have 4 colors options. Only the green and white will be, green and yellow will be gone. So I'll again have 4c2 times 2, and that will continue for all the rows above it. So this will come to the power 4. So the answer is 6c2 is 15 into 2, 30, times 4c2 is 6 times 2 is 12, 12 to the power 4. So that's the answer for the question here. Circular arrangements. So for circular arrangements, what we have is two things. So if there are n objects or n people, let us say, seated around the circular table with distinct seats and identical seats. So when I say distinct seats, I mean that maybe the seats are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or maybe the seats are colored red, green, yellow, and so on. Distinct colors. And when I say identical seats, that means I cannot differentiate between any of the seats. Now, when I'm saying I cannot differentiate between any of the seats, that means I really cannot differentiate. So I cannot say that, okay, this seat points to the north and this points to the east. If that is the case, then again I am having distinct positions. Okay. When I say identical, then it's actually identical. So I am completely blind. So there's no way I can differentiate between one seat with the other and the other seat. Okay. So in such a case, what will be the answer? So if I, let's say, just think of 4 places, 4 seats. Okay. I'll not make too many. So let us say 4 people A, B, C, D have to sit, and the seats are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, or anything like that. So this is as good as 4 distinct seats in a straight line, and you have to make like arrange 4 people in a line. So it's 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. That's basically 4 factorial. That's it. There is no difference. Now when I have identical seats, what difference comes in is, so starting with, let's say, A. So if I put A here, B, C, and D, versus, let us say now instead of A, I'm putting A here, then B, keeping the order same, okay, then C, and then D. I will not be able to differentiate between the two, right? I can only say that, okay, both appear to be in the same order. A, B, C, D are in the same order. So these two are identical arrangements. And now I can start with A here or A here. So I'll get 4 cases of A starting, right, at 4 of any of the 4 seats. So all those 4 cases will come out to be the same. So what will happen is total arrangements should have been 4 factorial, but we'll divide by 4 because every 4 arrangements come out to be identical. So effectively it comes out to be 3 factorial, or it's just 4 minus 1 factorial. Alternative way of explaining this is to identify or to decide, okay, starting position, you put one of the 4 people in one of the seats. Let's say you put A in the top seat. So that's now the starting point. You have defined it. Now you rearrange the remaining 3 people. So that's why it should be 3 factorial, not 4 factorial. So if I were to say that you have a circular table and you have to, let's say you have 3 teachers and let's say 4 students have to be seated along a circle such that two particular or such that 2 teachers sit sit beside each other. 2 particular teachers sit beside each other. So if this is the question and I ask you in how many ways can the arrangement be done, so we will say that, okay, let us say the 2 teachers who are going to sit beside each other are those, let's call them T1, T2. T1 and T2 are the 2 teachers who are sitting beside each other, and make them as one group. Okay, treat them as a single unit because they have to be together. Leaving these 2 out, you are now left with 4 students. Okay, 4 students, 1, let's say 2, let's say 3 and 4, and you have one more teacher left. So effectively there are 6 things to be arranged in a circle. So that would be 6 minus 1 factorial, and after doing that you have to interchange T1 and T2 as well. So another 2 factorial. So it's 5 factorial times 2 factorial, or 240 is your answer for this one. Okay, next if I say that there are 5 boys and 5 girls who have to sit along, let's say in a line, and to along a circle such that, so case A, no 2 boys are together, and case B, boys and girls alternate. So like answer the first question, question number 1 in case A and case B, and again you answer question number 2 for case A and case B. Can you just quickly do it? Yes, so for a line when you are saying no 2 boys are together, so basically place the girls. So G1, let's just put it G1, G2, G3, G4, G5, and as a result you have got 6 gaps. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 here at the end. So the boys can fit in any of those 6 gaps. There are 5 boys, so 6C5, select the gaps, arrange the boys, arrange the girls. That's basically the answer for 1A. For 1B, it's pretty easy. So it's just alternating boys and girls. So you just have to arrange the boys, 5 factorial for that, arrange the girls, 5 factorial for that, but decide who starts first. So is it boy, girl, or is it girl, boy? So basically because of that, you have 2 ways. So that's your basically the answer for 1B. For 2, in a circle, both A and B would imply the same thing. So you first, let's say, put the boys, arrange the boys. So 5 minus 1 factorial. Once the boys have been placed, you put the girls in between them so that they are alternating, or the other way around, it's the same. Now, when you are putting the girls, you don't do again 5 minus 1 factorial because already people have sat down. So the girls will be just 5 factorial. So it will be 5 factorial times 4 factorial. So that's your basically 2A and 2B. Both of them, same answer. Okay, so that's more or less it in permutation and combination.